So I was just about to introduce myself. I want to start doing live streams again since I moved back to the Netherlands. I hope everybody can hear me. And so let's talk about what's the most important topic is the future of Western civilization. Maybe we need to talk about the Trump victory and what it means to all of us. Trump always said he wanted to have peace, right? He doesn't want to have a war with Ukraine anymore or a war with Russia. Jesus, that's a Freudian slip. But yeah, the war against Russia. The impression I get is that NATO is just going to go continue with it. Hold on. Yeah, the sound is what it is. I've got this new setup. I need to buy a new microphone tomorrow, so I'm gonna maybe pump up the volume a little bit. Right, so Donald Trump wins the fight against, the Democrat left, really, right? All right. So what I think is going to happen is that NATO is going to continue the war against Russia regardless of Trump victory. They're going to simply basically unite or take the European countries, France, Germany, Italy, and so on, and command them, especially Poland, to go to war with Russia anyway, which is also with China, with Iran, with North Korea. So that whole war machine is not going to turn around or stop or something. I don't know who Albert Pike is. Yeah, I'm going to try to talk to people who come online here. Albert Pike was an American author, poet, orator for the Confederate States. So I don't know. Well, the question is, who is really in charge of the USA? During the Biden administration, everybody could see that other powers are in charge. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, they're mentally unfit and unwell. And so you get to the point where perhaps other bureaucracies are in charge of the USA, like the Council on Foreign Relations, for example. Right, but you don't program world wars. People have a say in it. If you don't want to go along with the war, they just don't go. Even if they somehow arrest you and drag you to the front lines, you can then still, walk away, defect, do whatever the hell you want. So that doesn't really work. World wars for global government, yeah. I don't believe in those things anymore. That people are somehow successfully manipulating us, through the media, to do what exactly? To fall for the scam of a global government? No, I don't think so. We always have a choice. It's just that in this struggle for life, people forget that we are not a herd and we are not herd animals. Each individual does possess the spark of creative thought, meaning you can come up with your own insights and your own life path, basically, and do what you want to do in life. And our job as the awakened right wing or so is to get more people to wake up, I don't know what that means. Why would you say that? Trump cologne. That's weird. All right. Right. Is Trump's cabinet full of Jews? So was Biden. So was Kamala Harris's. It is odd though, but perhaps you can speak about this more and more. But is it so that, say, the Germanic Celtic types of people are better at mechanics, technology, math, physics, and so on, inventions, making machines, and the Jewish people are perhaps a more urban race who are more attuned to manipulating people socially? You have the people manager and the technology manager, so to speak. Is that the difference between us and them? then how do you want to solve that problem? You know, how do you want to resolve this issue where, say, Jewish people run the cities, they know how to mass manipulate people really well, and then there's us who are not aware of those manipulation schemes because we're focused on our, you know, on our computers and our systems and our technology and our trucks and our engines and so on. You know, some of us, of course, are perfectly capable of understanding the bigger picture here, seeing how we are being herded and used and abused by others who have other motives and interests. But I think nothing about the future is really definitive. You know, the future is what you make of it. That is simply true. No one can carve the future in stone and make you obey. If you would simply accept that you have a free will. So, and of course, then they tell you that you don't have a free will. There's this whole movement, right, by the atheists, Richard Dawkins and so on. They've been at it for decades now, trying to convince people that you don't have a free will, you don't have a soul, you don't have, everything is just a system, everything is just mechanical. And that's just total nonsense, you know. No, Trump won because of white people. Without the white people, Kamala would have won, obviously. You know. Yeah, we need to wake people up, but you know. Well, that's it. Yeah, school education. Yeah, you know, what is it? Education. The word education comes from ex ducere or ducere from Latin, and it means from the position of being led. Ducere means to lead. You are being led by others who will show you what you are supposed to think, how you're supposed to think, right? They don't teach you thinking, or they don't want you to know that you could do that on your own. Yeah. All right. Well, say something. So what sort of thing do I say that is incredibly untrue? You know. Will Trump audit the Federal Reserve Bank? Yeah. I think the way I see it, the combination of Elon Musk and Donald Trump is like the wizard or the magician and his king, right? So magicians, basically, the people bow to the king and the king bows to his magician. The magician is ultimately truly in charge of these kinds of things. You always have to look at that. Now, Elon Musk is a super technologist, so they're going to do that efficiency thing that they're talking about, but they're going to transform the USA in some sort of super technological hub in order to compete with whatever China is doing, right? So they want to go to Mars for real, or want to go to the moon for real, things like that. No, I didn't say anything nonsensical about the Jews. Just read the book Practical Idealism by Kalergi from Kalergi. They are an urban race, and you know, in Northern Europe, we didn't have cities like Rome until Berlin got 1 million inhabitants around the year 1860 or so, which is almost 2,000 years after Rome did. And that's the difference between us Germanics and the southern races. You know, we are pretty much a rural race who has only been herded into the cities very recently, in the past 200 years, since the industrial age and so on. Before that, we were not that easily controllable. We had much more spiritual, mental freedoms. Yeah. So I was actually, Kalergi was friends with Evola. That's interesting. Yeah. So today I was thinking also about the meaning of the word technology. It comes from Greek techne, which means art or craft, and logi comes from logos, means word or reason. So with the word technology, they mean the art of reason, which is something peculiar because by definition, technology means we're not looking at your emotions, your dreams, the reality of flesh and blood, but we are looking at the reality of rules and logical words and so on, the reasoning and so on, mathematics, physics, the laws of physics, the physical constants and so on. And technology obviously allows you to have cars, it allows you to have bridges and elevators and so on, and internet technology, but something's missing clearly. It is the spiritual connection to your ancestors, to your God, to your people, and so on is completely not there. Technology, of course, is the foundation for mass migration, for the idea of a global open society where people become social security numbers that you manage through some bureaucratic computer system. What I think is necessary in the Western world is to reinfuse what we have with a sort of heroic spirit, with perhaps the blood and soil doctrine that you are a person like a plant, you are born somewhere, you are rooted, spiritually rooted, of course. We have legs to walk around, we're not stuck in one place, but we're supposed to be spiritually rooted in our own people, and we're supposed to be among people who care about us as much as we care back about them. And that doesn't exist anymore in a multicultural society. So right, right. And so, you know, why is it, for example, that we keep having this strange divide between left and right at all among white people, for example? Why do we have these leftists? Or we always say, oh, the leftists, they are like urban socialists, right? Sorry, excuse me, I'm coughing all the time. And the right wingers are a bit more rural, but it isn't that clearly defined, of course. Lots of right wing people live in big cities, and lots of leftists live in the countryside. So what's this really about? It's about, do you believe you have the strength within yourself to live your own life without other people's help? Then you're probably right wing. And if you feel that you're somebody who needs support and help, and you need to be given the wealth and given opportunities, then you're probably a leftist. It's just a point of view here. So why can't we fix this by saying that those who feel that they are in charge of their lives should rule the society, and those who feel that they need to be fed and pampered, they shouldn't even be allowed to vote? That they call then fascism, right? They're afraid of it. They're afraid of being put in their place. Right. Here, people always make the weirdest. This is just projection, like Serena says. Without the extermination of mixed societies and people, what else is the solution? You can just walk out. If you're in a bar that is full of people you don't like, what do? You start shooting them all? That's what you would do. That's what you said. I would just walk out and go to another bar across the street where there's people I like. It's really not that hard. There's plenty of space on this silly planet. We can do whatever the hell we want, go wherever we want to. We don't need to stay a part of something we don't like to be a part of anymore. But if you like to stay, then stay. See? So that's the strange thing about these weird leftists who think that the outcome of every right-wing ideology is somehow genocide, when it's actually leftists committing the genocide in Gaza, for example. You support the war in Gaza, you're a leftist, you're a mass murderer. So, I don't want any more mass migration coming to the West or to Europe. I would promote any kind of program to get people to go back to wherever the hell they're from. I did not misunderstand. Right, Trump is. If you've read that book, The Coming Caesars by Amaury de Riencourt, a French author. Let's see if I can type the name in here. Yeah, The Coming Caesars. Trump is the Caesar man, or perhaps not Trump, but maybe Barron, right? His son. It's coming, though. The United States social fabric is non-existent at this point, and so a strong man will want to rule at all cost. Now, Trump is still very much limited by the fact that all the judges and all the journalists in his country are leftists. And he's not going to be able to round them all out, right? So he's stuck with that. But successors of Trump, maybe Barron Trump someday, they will have all power. They will become authoritarian, totalitarian, as they call it. But I think it will be a good thing. Right, Musk is also, yeah, he was like a 2008 World Economic Forum, what do you call it, young global leader, just like Justin Trudeau and so on. Yeah, we're stuck with these people, but we, the common people, we can still do our own thing. You're not really trapped. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Richard Spencer and also this one Nick Fuentes, they're all endorsing Harris or somewhere. Like, what's this all about? Are you freaks? You know, clearly Trump was the better option. And what are we going to do next? I I'm not quite sure if the political system is helpful. It's great to win the election and have the authority of the presidential office. That's a good thing to have. But if everybody else is still going against your policy, like all the journalists and all the judges and so on, and the teachers are still extreme far leftists who are not listening to you, then you know you can't do that much. You need some kind of groundworks. You need to have basically black shirts with their boots on the ground, and we don't have that anywhere in the Western world. Or everything I see is controlled opposition. It's all fake. There's nothing real about it anymore. That is something I think we need to resolve. Yeah, we need to find a way to have the sort of physical presence in academia, have a physical presence at the newspaper editorial boards and so on, where people realize that they can no longer spout this anti-white, anti-European, anti-civilizational really rhetoric. It needs to stop at some point. Yeah, TikTok's filtering is always very extreme, so you can try again using a different phrase. Right. Yeah, the Amish voted for Trump, but what else are you supposed to vote for? Right. So what is missing in the entire Western world is we have these left-wing progressive academics basically designing our future. They come up with all the plans and so on. And the strange thing about it is they just don't have any real vision that people care about. It's all about, we're falling down, but no one is thinking of using our wings so we can fly. So to try to explain it in some way, we don't need to keep falling. We can start taking charge of what's happening, and basically imagine you have wings and you would unfold your wings and then we could soar and do whatever we want. So that's the problem we're at. We're falling, but nobody's pulling pulling out the parachute to help survive. And that's the strange thing. It's like when you're pushing kids toward neutering them, castrating an entire generation, and there's no one in media or in education thinking to themselves like, hey, we shouldn't do this. Maybe we should teach boys to be warriors again, teach them to fight. No, we're not doing that. It's so awkward. Right. Uh, right. So I don't get it. I don't see Trump as a threat at all. He's just in the end, what's it all about? Why is he doing this at age 78 or something? Nearly 80 years old. Why is he doing this? To make more money because he wants to have revenge against some people who did him wrong or something? Or is he really just a puppet? That's also an option. He's just a puppet, you know, to help what? To get white men to fight Russia or something? He's going to rally us to that? No. Like I said, it would be wrong for any of us to pin our hopes on this or that figure when we don't even know what we want. Right. Well, if you lost 50% of your hormones due to diet and so on, yeah, just eat better. Yeah, I get your point. And the average person doesn't think about these things at all, so they have no solution for it, right? Um, I don't think they will Trump. I don't think they will let Trump stop the war in Ukraine. The war on Russia is just going to continue because NATO is just going to drive Europeans to war, right? And maybe Trump is going to stay uninvolved, right? But then eventually Trump is going to have to fight China. So you see, it can be a multi-tier strategy where they get the Europeans to fight the Russians and the Americans are going to have to fight the Chinese or something. Who knows? It might be done that way. Yeah. How can you, democracy doesn't work. We know it doesn't work because you can win the election, but if the judges and the journalists and the teachers are all leftist, far leftist, you're not changing anything. So you have to have a physical presence in the schools, in the courtrooms, and so on, where you can finally start pushing for real change. NATO will keep going. Yeah, that's my idea. Yeah. So I don't like Elon Musk. He always favors mass immigration, but he wants it legally. I don't want to be replaced. I don't care about migration being legal or illegal. I just don't want to be replaced. Carlyle said that democracy is when men believe the vote of Jesus and Judas are equal. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what it is. Right. You know, I always have trouble imagining why people are left wing. What what's in it for you? What are you trying to get? I just don't get it. So I can't really see things that way. Yeah, of course I'm tired. I went to the gym doing deadlifts and so on, so I'm a bit tired. The Baltics seem great for new ethno state. Well, actually, I think the whole territory from Gibraltar in Spain all the way up to the uh, Ural Mountains in Russia, the whole thing, that could be an ethno state for us. We just have to take charge of it. That's all. We need new leadership. The last few weeks I had this weird kind of flu that took a long time to heal. I don't know why that was. You know. Right. You think Trump is also a puppet, but still better than Democrats. Yeah, at least they're going to do more interesting things other than just handing out welfare payments to everybody. Yeah, I'm okay. Right. I'm going to start doing what I regularly used to do until September or so. So I would think of speeches for like 2 or 3 minute long, 4 minute long speeches for TikTok, and I would just perform those speeches. I got really a lot of interaction, like hundreds of thousands of views on each video. So I'm going to start doing that soon again. I'm going to try to this time try to give people ideas of what to do. All right. We can always because us right wingers, we always talk about the problems and so on, but we need to know what to do next, and we need to be the people who know what to do, so that everybody else will look pale in comparison, right? Right. Trump now also has a majority of the popular vote. Yeah, that's pretty good here. Right. We need to be creative and cool. Yeah, or maybe also just dominant and aggressive along with being creative and cool. You need to be very clear in your communication that you are in charge and the others are not, period. And it's not going to change. Right. No, I'm Dutch from the Netherlands. Pessimism won't attract the right people. Yeah, we need to be optimistic in the sense, Spengler said like optimism is cowardice, but of course, by which he probably means, you can delude yourself into thinking everything's going to be fine. Now that's cowardice, right? But optimism in the sense, okay, we know the world is going to shit, but here's what we're going to do about it. That's a different kind of optimism. Right? Maybe you call it active optimism or something. Where we are actually going to create the future we want for ourselves and not worry about all of those detractors and everybody hating on us, right? You know what's interesting about Eastern Europe and Western Europe? Eastern Europeans would have voted for Trump. Western Europeans would have voted for Kamala Harris, believe it or not. Western Europe is confused, and this needs to resolve somehow. I don't know what to do about it yet. So how are we going to influence, say, Western European media to get people to wake up about this? Like, hey, you're crazy, you're confused, you're dull, why would you want Kamala Harris to lead the USA? Well, what's wrong with you, right? People need to get the message at some point. Yeah, Spengler wrote a lot of good things. The optimism of progress is cowardice, right? But we need to look more toward, a spiritual renewal, and then the new civilization will follow, right? It starts with a spiritual renewal within ourselves, where we find the strength to stand up and fight for what we believe in, right? And we will no longer be pushovers. No one will dare to touch us or shove us around anymore. Things are going to be very, very different. Yeah. Right. So you're from Bulgaria, and only 20% of the people watch the news. Yeah. And the gender propaganda is forbidden in your schools. Now that's excellent. See, and in Bulgaria also, not that many people took the jibby jibby jab jab. Right? They're drinking raw milk. Okay. Yeah, I drink a lot of milk too. It's been said that if you eat meat and dairy products and so on, especially meat from a single animal, not minced meat that is like 50 animals mixed up, but a good steak from a cow, for example, you are, in a spiritual way, you're eating a cow, but you're also eating the entire cow's lineage. This is why eating meat is associated more with physical strength, with aggression, with also mental acuity, meaning you can think and focus. Because I notice if I eat more animal protein and animal fat, I focus much more. I'm much more awake during the day. Whereas if I eat a lot of, if I would just eat rice and pastas and so on and vegetables, I would have this fog in my mind. And then at some point you're not aware of it anymore. So you become aware of it when you start eating healthy again. Then you wake up, like, whoa, I can be like this all day. I have energy, right? So that's a different theory. My favorite writer or philosopher would be Martin Heidegger, because the things he was talking about are, it just reaches, or it really gets to the core of what it's all about. I mentioned earlier, the word technology comes from Greek techne, logos, means the art of reason. If you want to be a purely, strictly rational person, but you ignore your emotional drives and the fact that you are made of flesh and blood, and what a strange thing flesh really is. It's not like rock or brick. It's not like a plant or wood. It's something else. It's something unique in the universe. If you look around in the universe, there's very little flesh, so to speak, flesh and blood. It's a very unique thing that we have that animates us, or that is our body and so on, right? And we need to listen more to what goes on inside that body. By which I mean, if you have this drive to be a hero, to go outside into the physical world, and you will take blows, and you don't mind, facing physical pain and threats and so on, and overcoming those and defeating your enemies, right? You won't be able to do that as an academic if you're trying to calculate with formulas, what to do in such a situation. Like, if the enemy does this, then we do that. Like, you try to strategize it. It doesn't work. A heroic person will feel this intense spark inside himself, as though he's heating up, right? And you want to use that energy to go somewhere, do something, get the enemies out of the way, achieve your victory for whatever reason you're doing. You can do it for yourself, or for the survival of your people, or for the pride of your tribe. Whatever it is, you are clearly motivated or animated by a internal spiritual force that you've accepted, right? And so that's the opposite of being a calculating person. If you can be very people try to do the math about their financial problems, they usually become very insecure, because the math doesn't solve your problem. Your actions solve the problem. There's a way of thinking that says, if everything's always too expensive for you, why don't you just make more money, right? By which you can expand your financial presence in the world. You don't have to be a billionaire, but you can basically create some room for yourself, not by saving more, but perhaps by making more, right? It's a different decision. It's the difference of decisions between staying inside when it's cold, or making a fire and going outside and going for a run, or doing work outside. When you're working outside in the cold, you'll be warm as long as you're working, right? So it's a different decision. Like, do you retreat? Do you pause and sleep, or do you get up and go do some work? And in order to do that, in order to want to go outside and do more rather than less, you need to have a spiritual motivation. It does not come from the calculations in your mind. It comes from being fed up with something, being done with feeling bored all the time, and wanting to go outside there and basically force some change in the world that benefits yourself or your people, whatever you're after, right? And accepting that it's not going to happen on its own. You have to imagine what you want, and then you have to work toward achieving that relentlessly, basically. Never giving up, never backing down, never quitting. And then you're going to find out that the large majority of people, they will either move out of your way or follow you, and only very, 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 very few people will put up any kind of resistance, because most people, honestly speaking, haven't got a clue about what to do in their lives, right? Right. So, okay, a different topic. I'm going to try to fill an hour. I've been talking for 34 minutes so far. And my apologies for the microphone, for the sound, because I ordered a new microphone setup, but I don't have it yet. So it's coming in tomorrow probably. So I wanted to address a certain topic about women. Why is it that some women seem to embrace the masculine? And in many, I read about this a little bit, and in situations where a woman has been attacked, for example, by men, that woman may actually be want to embrace the masculine energy more as a way of becoming stronger, so she can defend herself, right? So in a multicultural society, like, look at Britain, look at London, look at places like, I don't know, Chicago or so and so, places where our Western women, the white women, are under physical attack, right? Like Toronto, for example, constant physical attack and harassment. What is the possible response for women? Well, women can either submit, right, or say, well, I may be a woman and I like the idea of submission, but I'm not going to submit to these creatures fighting us. And so that's the right-wing woman. The right-wing woman says, I want to be feminine, but I'm not going to be feminine for these creeps coming out of the third world into our countries, harming us, hurting our people. These are the women who want to fight back and push back. So that's what I think is the difference between a right-wing woman and a left-wing woman. The left-wing woman is living in denial. She does want to submit to anyone, basically, maybe because they're not getting enough attention or something, right? The right-wing woman says, of course I want to be feminine, but I'm not going to submit to these rapists out of Pakistan or something, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fight them, and I want men to fight for me on my behalf as well. And so I think the more women get acquainted with the benefits of diversity, the more women will turn right-wing, and the more women will turn right-wing, the more basically they're going to tell the men to man up and start fighting for us again, as in secure physical space for us where we can live again, right? And that may not be the big cities. The big cities in the Western world, I think, are done. All right. Right. People have been. Yeah, this is my real account. Yeah, at the great JMK. Right. Many men don't like the fight, right? They don't like to fight back anymore. I don't know why that is. It's the same thing for men. Too many men have this feminine energy where they feel they should just submit to the changing times or something, go along with it, and it's important that the right-wing women speak out and motivate the men, let the men know that you expect them to fight, right? Because I think people nowadays are so confused, they don't know what to do anymore, right? Yeah, Germany. Germany, right? Johannesburg and so on. Right. All our big cities are lost. Our future is figuring out how to turn our backs to the cities, walking out of them, but taking everything with us that we want to keep, right? Yeah, people want to pretend it's not happening. Yeah. Basically, to some extent, capitalism is a problem because capitalism wants to sell to people of all races. All right, so that's why they always push for open borders, because that's a way for them to expand their markets, right? So that if there were no borders, then American companies could dominate the Chinese markets or something, right? That's what it's all about, All right, sunglasses. Yeah, feminism ruined everything, that's for sure. Right. Well, small hats are the problem behind capitalism, but so are the people who just keep along with it. There's too many people behave as though they were cattle. Of course, they end up being exploited. All right, I need to end the live because I don't know, there's something with my voice, or I keep feeling like I need to cough the whole time. So I'm gonna keep doing the live streams at least once a week or so. When I get my new microphone tomorrow, I'll try it out next week or so. Yeah, I'm going to talk more about what to do, what is the vision, what are the right steps now, and then trying to get people on board. Maybe we'll need to start an actual new movement, like an organization with a bank account and an address, right, and an office, right, where we can start, you know, putting ourselves, you know, start, you know, winning that physical presence in the world, right, where so that we can make ourselves known and let people know that, you know, we represent something completely new. We don't want to go left or right in politics anymore. We want that whole system gone, and so we can start over from scratch, basically, right? Right. All right. Then I'll see you. I'll see you next week or so. Have fun. Take care.